approach the red carpet right now. And of course, we do know that Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has also landed in Anchorage as well. The two are set to shake hands. And Bonnie, this will be the first face-to-face meeting they've had since 2018. I guess there's some questions as to who would come out first. They must have choreographed, and it happened at the same time.
You know that this was choreographed, right? It would not look good if one or other of the presidents was waiting for the other or was, ahead of the other. So they obviously choreographed. That's President Putin on the right of your split screen and President Trump on your left. President Putin obviously flanked by Sergei Lavrov, and President Trump coming on his own. That in itself makes a statement.
Yeah, it does. Although we have heard reports that he is going to be meeting Vladimir Putin with his associates, with Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, as well as Steve Witkoff, his special envoy. So what had been described as a one-on-one meeting may actually be a three-on-one meeting unless Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, brings his associates as well.
Sure, yeah, I mean, a huge staff obviously coming on Air Force One with the president as well. It'll be interesting to see, just how much they meet solo and how much, as you say, they meet with their advisors and with other people involved. And then they're set to give a joint press conference, which in itself is fascinating. At one point, President Trump said he wasn't sure, if he liked the outcome, he would possibly do a joint press conference. If he did not like the outcome, they would definitely not do a joint press conference. So I guess we still aren't 100% certain that it's a joint press conference, but certainly the White House has advertised that.
Right, that's the plan so far, but the plans can always change. And of course, the president has talked about how he looks forward to a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, perhaps even a third, and bringing along other principals, including Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine and perhaps European leaders as well. Once again, you're looking at live pictures here of the president, Donald Trump, getting ready to shake hands with Vladimir Putin. Again, their first face-to-face meeting, their first handshake since 2018. They've talked several times, Lonnie, over the phone, but this is their first face-to-face meeting in a while.
That is quite a long handshake, and you saw President Trump with a little round of applause, in fact, for Vladimir Putin as he approached him on the red carpet. Putin going to Trump. I guess Trump is the host here, as the host country of the United States. And many say it's already a win for Vladimir Putin that he gets to be welcomed on Alaskan soil, right? There are many countries in the world, for example, where he would need to be arrested if he arrived on their soil, countries that are subscribers to the International Criminal Court.
No, that's a really good point. The two of them will be meeting one-on-one, or perhaps with their associates next to them. They will then have a bilateral lunch that will include delegations from both countries. We know that a number of senior U.S. officials are also in Anchorage, including Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, J.D. Vance, the Vice President, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. And then after that, they will hold a press conference. But as you mentioned, Bonnie, it's not clear that that will actually happen. It depends on how their meeting goes.
Fascinating how Putin really prepares for these types of meetings. I mean, we saw him in the past meet with Chancellor Merkel, for example, and bring his dog with him, right? He's a master at these meetings and strategic meetings.
All right, let's take a look again at the two of them meeting. They're making conversation, small talk. This is not yet their one-on-one sit-down meeting. Okay, it looks like they weren't going to make comments. We thought perhaps they would, but we'll continue to monitor all these developments. Anne-Marie Horderin is traveling with the president, and she joins us now from Anchorage, Alaska. And I want to bring you in, Anne-Marie, because this has been tightly choreographed, this meeting between the two presidents, and they're running a little bit late. There was a lot of waiting around to see who would emerge from their airplane first, Anne-Marie.
Well, the president touched down first, and then Putin followed after. But the president did wait for him to arrive so they could just have this meeting on the tarmac. Have to say, all smiles, friendly meeting, a handshake, and then President Trump tapped him on the shoulder. Really pivotal moment if you think about where we were this time last year. We had gone from the Biden administration who said that Putin did not want to deal directly with them, and there was really no engagement on a leader-to-leader level. And they had a mantra that was nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, and notably missing, of course, in this imagery today in Anchorage is the fact that President Volodymyr Zelensky is not here. For President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, this is a really big moment. He has not been back in the United States since 2015. We had his last meeting, pretty tense meeting with President Barack Obama alongside the UN General Assembly. And of course, it's the first face-to-face meeting between Trump and Putin since Trump has been back in the White House. Of course, top on the agenda is going to be trying to figure out how to unwind this more than 3-year war. Putin's invasion of Ukraine began in February of 2022. For the United States, that is paramount before they begin discussing other issues like sanctions relief, like arms control, like economic cooperation, and things like the Arctic Circle. For Putin, though, they really see this, the Kremlin really sees this as a restart of bilateral negotiations between Moscow and Washington outside of what is going on when it comes to the war in Ukraine.